Welcome to Beyond Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Petralis. And guys, we are super excited. We are like knee deep at this point in our Beyond Football coverage, our Friday night coverage. And, we were at this spot last year in Arlington. And one of the more exciting games that we covered really came down to the last minute. These guys here definitely had a big part to do with that. But being able to visit this program last year and to now see it under new leadership and how successful this program is, big 3-3 record right now. They play in a tough Middlesex league. They play really tough teams from jump. Some really tight games they've had this year, and a few things go the other way. The record's a little bit different. So, their coach was a tremendous player, and we'll jump into that. I had a prep against him when he was in high school, and I remember all the conversations we had in the coaches room about prepping for him. So, and obviously, we have Jake here and Kayden. I've seen Kayden play. I've seen Jake play too. You'll hear me talk about Kayden, but I'm on record saying this last year. I still have it on my phone, and I will hang on to it for anyone who doubts me. But we're going to be talking to one of the best, if not the best running back in the state of Massachusetts, in my opinion, on this podcast as well. So we're super excited. So without further ado, we have Coach Frank Roche here, as well as Kayden Mills and Jake. I hope you say your last name right, but I'm going to say Kerbley. Did I say that right? I might have lost him for a second. Close enough. All right. I heard him say close enough at the end, so I'll take that. But Coach, what's going on? Welcome to the podcast.
Great to be on. Watched a ton of your stuff, and obviously knew about you when I was playing and going up against AUC. So it's great to be on here and great to have a few of our players, and definitely excited for Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, listen, your coach was a baller. Like, I'm going to kind of put him on the spot here for a minute, but I remember we prepping for him his junior and senior year, and I was a defensive back coach that second year. His year, I had more to do with the defensive game plan, but he played every position. I mean, he was kind of all over the field. We had a pretty good player ourselves that kind of shadowed him a lot, but your coach was a baller. I know he played other sports as well in high school, and he was great, and obviously collegiately had a heck of a career as well. So I just want to give you your street cred, coach. Whenever I have coaches on here with players, I got to make sure the players know that who the alpha in the room is. All right. And that is coach. So, but getting back to what's going on, I'm really excited to be covering you guys again. I've had plenty of, when I think back on my history of Arlington Catholic, Arlington High School, and the games that I was a part of when those two programs have played each other, and nothing but love and respect. Like, I've never hated Arlington High School or couldn't wait to beat Arlington High School. It was the opposite. It was always kind of like you knew what you were going to get. It was going to be a tough game. And to cover you guys last year, like, the reputation just kept true. You played in a tough game against Brookline that was really punching the mouth back and forth type game the whole game. And you guys just lasted an extra round. So it's exciting to be covering you guys, but talk about your season so far this year. I mentioned you guys are 3-3. Talk about the season thus far, what's been going on, and what you're looking forward to coming up soon.
So obviously we're at 3-3 right now. We've had a few games not go our way, but ultimately we're excited for how we can finish up this league play, and hopefully get a playoff spot. And going into the season, as a first year head coach, you're not sure what to expect, what roster you're going to come out with. And we honestly don't have a lot of seniors. We have two of them here tonight, and they're extremely talented and a huge part of the success we've had. But we've relied a lot on our underclassmen, our sophomores, our juniors, and I think as the season has gone on, those underclassmen have stepped up even more, and started to really grow in their development. So, hopefully we just keep that going and keep building what we got, make the playoffs and do some damage once we do that.
So you kind of alluded to it, and guys, I'll ask you, obviously I knew your previous head coach pretty well personally, coached football with them. I obviously just gave the red carpet for your coach here and the respect I have from him, just knowing him as a player. I mean, talk about, I don't care who starts off here, whoever wants to go first, but talk about you guys, coming into this season a little bit. You are the few of the seniors that are in this program, as coach mentioned, new leadership, new direction for you guys. Can be a tough change your senior year. So maybe talk about dealing with that a little bit. And obviously, obviously buying into how well you guys seem to be playing football now. Kayden, why don't you go first? Go ahead.
So coming into the season with like a new coaching staff, we didn't really know who we were gonna get as a coach, but we would always like see him around school, like after school at our workouts, and he was always like pushing us for everyone to come to the workouts and for everyone to just not stand there in the workout and just not lift any type of weights. He would always encourage us to lift the weights and do more and push ourselves through how much we say we can't. And he would tell us, don't say we can't and just go for it and don't really like doubt yourself when you're in the weight room.
Jake, you want to add on to that at all?
I was very excited when I found out about the new coaching staff, especially when I heard the Roche's name, because that's been like a big football name in Arlington. And it's kind of something I was really looking forward to going into the season.
It's great. And obviously, coach, for me, it was a similar situation. I think when I took over at AC, I went there, I played there, I bled, blue and gold. As for you being a spy pawn, that you felt the same exact way about the town you play for, the town you grew up in, and you performed really well in. Talk about that for you, because I know for me, when I got the job at AC, there was like an emotional moment. I sat in my car for a minute and was just like, wow, like, I can't believe this is reality for me. Like, this is something I've always wanted. Like, what was that reaction for you, I guess, when you first got the job or knew that you were going to be the new head coach?
Yeah, it's certainly special to have that opportunity. I know a lot of guys will go their whole career, coaching career, and not get the chance to coach at their alma mater. So to be able to come back and actually work for Coach Bowler, who's the athletic director at Arlington High School, and was my basketball coach in high school. Like it's really come full circle. And it's not something that I expected to happen, so early in my coaching career. So, the initial excitement about getting hired quickly turned into, oh crap, like what does it mean to be a head coach and to run a program? And so with that, I've relied on, a lot of people. And the ultimate shout out goes to my coaching staff and the guys who have helped me throughout the summer and preseason and this whole season. I think we have a great coaching staff, and pretty much everyone on the staff has some sort of tie to Arlington football, whether it's they played Arlington football or they coached Arlington football. So I think it starts with the coaching staff being bought in, and they're there every step of the way, and they're bought in. The players are going to buy in next, so that's important to me.
No, it's nice. It's like, yeah, you do get the job in a sense, and you're like, before you'd be like, when you were like, when I was a coordinator, I'd be like, who does this? Or there was a head coach that always answered a question, and now it's like you're the person that everyone you're like, oh, I don't know, like, or you're like, oh, I didn't even think I had to know that, or I had to do that. Like, there's so many parts of the job, I'm sure, that you learn pretty quickly that you're just like, wait, I have to do this, or wait, this is part of the job too. Like, like it's funny.
Oh yeah. Week to week, I mean, I'm learning something new every week, and the parents play a huge role in it too. So both Kayden and Jake's parents have done a great deal.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. Shout out to all the parents who have played a role in this season and continue to do so.
Jake, what number are you? What number is
number 6?
Number 6. I remember having film on you or something last year. What position do you play? You linebacker or safety?
Wide receiver on offense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as a linebacker.
All right. Did you come off the edge last year and have like a blitz off the edge and like sack the quarterback from behind against Brookline? Is that you number 6? I think that was you. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think.
me
Your
and
name
another
sounds so
teammate.
familiar, and I'm like,
It
man,
was
I know
like-
I tagged this kid in a cool post of a play that he made. So I was just curious. All right, I'll look back and send it to you. I know I have something with number 6. But Kate, go ahead, Coach.
Jump in, but yeah, we've used Jake like all over the field this year.
Yeah.
On defense, mostly that outside linebacker, edge guy, and then on offense we move them all over the place, receiver, tight ends, playing all the wildcat quarterback too. So he's been a great weapon for us.
Yeah. No, his name's I definitely tagged him in a ton of posts before. But Kayden, obviously I've tagged you in a ton of posts. I mean, you and I have been really talking since last year. I know we reconnected at basketball season. We covered Arlington basketball. And we chatted, but for you, just talk about the process for you this year. I know last year you were looking at some schools in the summer, and we have a lot of high school athletes that listen to this. And to me, they have a kid on here right now who's probably kind of sort of going through the process of looking at schools. Maybe just share with the audience here a little bit about, your process so far this summer leading into this fall, as far as the recruiting process goes for you.
For me, the recruiting process, it was like to put myself out there. I would go to like a lot of camps around like New England. So I'd be like in Rhode Island one weekend and end up in New Jersey the next weekend, or be in Connecticut the next weekend. And like the journey is tough. It's kind of stressful because you would think to yourself, oh, is this coach gonna ever return my call, return my email, or even text me back on like Twitter or anything? And it's just like, it's a fun process, but it's stressful at times too. But I like the recruiting process a lot.
Have you learned a lot about maybe yourself in the sense of like when you go to school, like for instance, like, do you know what you want to major in, for example, or are you still kind of undecided at this point?
For me, I want to major in sports med. So
All right, so that
kind
must
of
be a big deal for you. Are you looking like, I guess, parallel, like meaning like side by side, like these schools that also have a great program in that, like, or have a real good program in that?
yeah, like every school that I've been in contact with has a good sports med major,
Right.
and I'm really interested into it.
Great. That's awesome to hear. Good. I'm glad that it's all there for you too. That's awesome. So jumping back into kind of all you guys here for a second, let's jump into just the team a little bit. And I asked this to most like coaches and kids we have, and it's always probably have different answers here. Who's the dude that like you go to battle with like on this team? Like who's the dude? I guess I'll ask the players first. Who's the dude on this team that you go to battle with here that like when you go out the locker room door, you want this dude right by your side? Like who's the baddest dude on the team? Maybe besides you guys. I'll let anybody go first. Jake, I think his connection's rough right now. So, but if we can get him on here, let's get him. Jake, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
We got you, dude. Let's go, man. Let's go.
I think one of the biggest people that like gets me going is Ori Forrest. He's the other outside linebacker with me on defense, and every play he's like all fired up, hitting his helmet. Before the game, he's hitting the lockers, doing everything he can to get the team fired up.
Katie, what do you say?
I would say the player that wants to always go to battle is Brady Beckenhughes. He's a really big kid for a sophomore, and he's always just like amped just to go play football. Locker room, he's always so hype. He's always like getting me hype for like the game, telling me that we're gonna do this and we're gonna just go out there and compete.
I mean, I've seen clips of this kid. I've had coaches send me clips of him as a freshman baseball player hitting balls into the bike trail. Like this kid launched him. So I know as soon as you said his name, I know exactly who he's talking about. Kid is a monster. Coach, when you hear those names, I mean, is that not surprising, or is there anybody want to add to the list that's just kind of that dude?
Yeah, those two aren't surprising at all. Two tough dudes who love to get after it, love playing football, and definitely guys you can trust on the field. I guess two more I would add would be Henry Tasman, who plays guard for us and tackle on defense, and the dude's fought through some injuries and just a real tough kid, tough to take him off the field. And then our middle linebacker D-man, Dylan McGon. He's super undersized, but plays with big heart and on almost every play. And yeah, just a little Tasmanian devil out there.
I love it. And it's always funny because like coaches or like players, when I ask them, just always like smirk, and they just like they either have somebody who they think of immediately, or when they think about it for a second, they like smirk and be like, all right, I'm gonna say this person. And it's always like I mean, being crazy is definitely like probably like a prerequisite to it, but like some stories that I hear is like it's wild. You're just like, this kid's in high school, like what year is he? Like it's just, but I mean, I think every team just kind of needs that person a little bit, that just knows this is a little different, ticks a little differently, and you just say like, oh, I'm glad they're on my side. So I'll jump back to the players here, because something that like, again, like our audience ranges, but 18 to 24 is huge for us. Talk about you guys here a little bit. I mean, I mentioned this earlier at the beginning. You're at a 3-3 spot right now. Every game matters. Every point matters. You guys are leaders of your team. How are you guys leading your team in this week's practice? Senior days, obviously senior night's a big game period, but for you, there's obviously a little bit more added juice here for as far as what the rest of your season might look like. So whoever wants to take it first most certainly can, but how are you getting the troops, maybe a little different this week, a little fired up different this week, knowing that there's so many big things on the line for this game?
I'll say for like my
I
team.
think this
Hold on, Jake. I think we lost you. You're kind of like going in and out. Let Kayden go, and then we'll get you back. You're frozen. All right, Kayden, go ahead.
I'll say that this week we're big on, well, like not just this week, but we've been big on like executing like all of our plays, all of our defenses. So like all practice, we'll be just like yelling at them, oh, execute all the different plays, play the plays right, and just stay locked into practice. Don't really try to think about anything else, and just give like that practice your all, like your undivided attention and everything that you have.
Great. That's great. Jake, we see you again, man. This is a good sign. Can you hear us?
is it good now?
Yes. Yes. You are back. Let's go. Here we go. So do you want to, I mean, Kayden gave a great answer. Do you want to add on to just the idea of how you're going to lead the troops a little bit differently this week with so much on the line?
Yeah, I just think the season so far, it's been going well. Definitely could be a lot better. We need to keep pushing a lot more. And I think Winchester's a very personal game for a lot of the players, especially the last 2 years have been tough losses. So I think everyone's going into the game like very angry and wanting to win.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and I think that that's kind of like conquering your Goliath in a way, right? Like this is your guys' last swing at them. And obviously there's a lot on the line for you. Coach, I'm saying this to these guys, but for you, a first-year head coach, you're kind of in a similar situation. Are you kind of looking at the ratings right now and being like, wow, being in the situation that you're in, like, how are you looking at things going forward over the next couple of games for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, obviously our goal is to make the playoffs, but we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. I think practice has been a key all season for us. When we don't practice well during the week, it shows on Friday night. So just maintaining that intensity throughout the week has been big for us. Trying to get as much competition and as much juice going during the week, so that when it comes to Friday, we have as we're as prepared as we can be. And yeah, we rely on our scout team. We rely on our coaches to get us going. And we rely on guys like Kayden and Jake to set the tone, because it can't just come from me. It can't just come from the coaches. Our guys have to lead, and so far they've been doing a good job. But we're always going to push them to do it better, because we're only as strong as our weakest link, right? Like if you have guys on the scout team not giving a great look, then that messes us up with the first team. So we got guys who are and we're just going to try to keep the pedal to the metal.
That's great. You know, and sometimes that, I mean, you're already putting yourself in that situation that you potentially are in when you're in the playoffs, right? It's a one and done. And for you guys, you're probably looking at it that way for yourselves, one game at a time. Don't get ahead of yourself. But you're going to be playing your most competitive football. So it's great. So taking a look at obviously your guys' season, you guys, I mentioned you play in a really tough league in the Middlesex League. You've been able to knock off some opponents that maybe you haven't beaten in the past, and you guys are mentoring Winchester for yourselves right now as a personal game or a game that means a lot to you. For you two, senior night, like what does that mean for you guys? Like, obviously it's one of your last home games, but you've been in this program for a while. You've seen other players in your program that you've respected, you love, kind of go through this. Now it's your turn. Now it's up to you. Now it's you guys up. Any significant thing for you going into this, or has it hit you yet? Or football's an emotional game, man. You love your team, you love your play, you love everything about it, and coach will tell you miss it so much when it's gone. But has any of that sunk into you guys at all yet?
For me, it hasn't really hit yet. I still remember being like freshman year, seeing all the seniors lining up, thinking I got 4 more years, and I never really thought I'd be here now. But I'm just gonna take it like any other game. Like usually people take their senior night as like a night to kind of enjoy and like strive through, but we got to keep working and get the win.
Kayden?
For me, I just go back to thinking that back to like my sophomore year, and I was seeing like all my older friends at their senior night all happy, and I was like thinking I have all the time in the world. But thinking to it now, like senior night's not too far away from me, and it's also my time to do the same thing that they did.
Yeah. I mean, I was covering Malden High School the other night, Thursday night they were playing, and I seen like 4 or 5 kids that had played for them the year before that were there watching the game, and they come up and you're like, man, we missed this so much. And like, they were just around it the whole game, around the bench, around the players, just like, and I'm like, wow, what a year of difference makes. Like you see these kids in uniform and then here they are next year in street clothes, like watching the game like everybody else, paying $5 to get into the game, like whatever it is. So enjoy it, gentlemen. Enjoy it while it lasts, because coach and I can both tell you, man, when it's gone, you miss it. You miss it for sure. And then obviously, like I mentioned, and I noticed this, did you guys do this last year? And I don't know if you did. You guys how many years have you been playing Waltham on Thanksgiving? This is like your second year, because you guys used to play us.
Yeah, I think I want to say that changed relatively recently, maybe 2019.
Okay, because I think it was us, and then I never knew who you guys picked up after that. So is that who it's been? Did you guys used to play them for a while before, or no?
It used to be Somerville.
Somerville,
yeah. So yeah, I mean,
I was looking up you like doing my homework on you guys, and I was like, oh wow, Waltham, that's not a bad Thanksgiving game to have. I mean, it's 2 real good programs. So let me ask you this. I mean, I know you guys are locked in on the game, and rightfully so, you should be locked in on the game, but there's going to be another battle going on at halftime, and that is going to be beyond in the concession stand. What do you guys know about your concession stand? What kind of things you serve in there? I went to Malden last week. There was fried dough, freshly squeezed lemonade. I mean, I've never seen that anywhere, but I don't know if Arlington has that or not. But what am I looking at? I mean, is there good service, the line? I mean, tell me a little bit about it.
I can't tell you too much. I'm usually a little preoccupied. I have a halftime stop in there. I might have to if I get a little hungry at halftime, but I think Jake might have some insight as to what we got going on in the concession stand.
Yeah, I don't know much about it or what we have, but I know it's run by the cheerleaders, so I wouldn't like to give full responsibility to the football team.
Okay, so this is on the cheerleaders, is what you're saying. We're putting the cheerleaders on the spot right now.
I have a sister on the cheerleading team, so I know they run it.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to get in touch with them this week and let them know the storm that is about to come to the concession stand. Then, so if you guys aren't responsible for it, I mean, that could be bad thing too, because if it's real, it could be the best score I ever give, and then you guys have nothing to do with it. So like, just say there's like a few parents that like help out, and we'll give you guys, the producer credit like everyone else gets when in movies. So but in all seriousness, guys, this has been great to have you on here, and I want to close it out is I'll start with you seniors, and then coach, I'll kind of jump to you with a similar question, but maybe worded a little differently. Guys, you're getting closer and closer to the end of your high school football career, and there's a way more that you need to worry about right now and what's in front of you. But just kind of like thinking ahead a little bit, and Kayden mentioned and alluded to it as a sophomore, he thought he had forever, and here he is now celebrating his senior night. What would be your advice to like young high school football players or just young high school athletes in general that are playing their sport and they might be young and they feel like they have forever? What would be your advice to them as you're about to close out your high school football careers in the next month? What would be your advice to these younger kids as they're growing up in it and following the same footsteps that you did?
I would kind of say one thing I regret is not giving 100% every single practice, every single time I have the opportunity to get like better, and just not like giving my full, kind of like in the off season throughout the whole season.
Right. Kayden?
Don't take it for granted and give everything you have to every game, every play, every practice, every workout, every film session that you have. Just kind of give it your all, because at the end of it, your time will come where it will be your senior year and it will be your last like go at the season and like your last home game.
Right. And coach, I'll word a little bit differently for you because I think your situation's unique. I mean, you're a first year coach and you're pretty successful. I mean, if I'm being totally honest, not a lot of first year coaches can come and play the schedule that you guys somewhat play and be that successful. And you've kind of done a great job with it. What would be your advice to young head coaches out there that are just like, they might be thinking about it for a few years, like, could I be a head coach? Could I be a head coach? Could I be a head coach? And then they finally jump into that position or finally take the opportunity to dive into it. Or maybe just even to that person who's too afraid to dive into it. What would be your advice to any young high school head coach out there or aspiring head coach out there? Sorry, I threw like a ton at you there, but you know what I was trying to say, I think.
And it's definitely an interesting question. Something I don't. Maybe you ask me at the end of the season, I have a better answer. But yeah, I would just say, have confidence in what you're doing, and jump fully into it. Right? If you're going to coach, if you're going to be a head coach, jump right into it and do it to the best of your ability. Don't just go halfway and think maybe it'll be all right. Go fully in and fully invest the time, because it really is, you get in what you put out. So if you're going to be there and put in that effort, I think it's a results driven game. If you're gonna put in that time, the results will come eventually. Maybe not right away, but if you keep working at it, they will. And then I just say, rely on other people. You can't do it yourself. So like I mentioned earlier, a huge shout out goes to my coaching staff, and really to all the coaches who have coached me before. I've taken just a little bit from each coach I've had, whether it's football or other sports. But take what those lessons learned when you were a player or when you're an assistant, and just taking the best of it and building on your coaching knowledge.
That's great advice. And I think you were funny in saying that, but you're so right. Like, you're someone only like halfway through your first season, right? So here we are being like, what would be advice? But great advice. I mean, awesome advice. And I love when you said, like, if you're going to jump in, because you're right. Because the job that we do, the job that you do, like, there's no half speed. Like, you don't want your players going half speed. You don't want your staff going half speed. Like, you know what the results are going to be if that happens. So I love it. Like, you are all in and you're invested in it. And I think that that's important for any head coach. It's not jumping in being like, well, we'll do most of this stuff, or I'll do this and I'll get people like, no, you are the alpha, you're there. So no, that's really great advice. You guys, I'm going to give you a chance here before we sign off. Hype this game up. Huge game, senior night. I know you guys are both all business here, you two, Jake and Kayden, but you guys, tell the people why they should be coming to this game. Get the student base there. They should be rocking. You guys, we rated you as our third best student section last year. We went to like 30 something games across all the different seasons. So you guys are pretty good. So talk to the student body, the senior class, the rest of the student body, get them here, hype the game up. Let's go.
I think this game's been very hyped up for a while. I've talked to many of my friends. They've canceled things they've had like planned just to go to this game. And especially last home game, we had a very good win and everyone enjoyed it. So they're definitely going to show up again.
I love it. I love it. Kate, anything you want to add to that?
Jake kind of said it all.
I love it.
Everyone's just going to be there. I know a lot of my family, I know a lot of my friends' family is all going to be at the game. So it should be a really packed out game.
Coach, do you want to show anybody out here? I mean, you're a big Arlington guy, huge alumni base. Do you work in the school?
No, I don't work in the school,
Okay.
but no, still know a lot of people.
Okay.
Our coach, but yeah, any support from the town, from teachers, from students, you know, from alum. Yeah, we're our coaching staff is pretty young, so a lot of alum, you know, who are still in the area. So definitely coming back, and should be a good till Friday night. Hopefully we come up towards.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So a game, is it 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock start time? I meant to actually ask you guys this.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. So guys, Friday night, Arlington High School. The front of the high school looks absolutely beautiful. I haven't been to the back of the high school, but holy moly, you guys got a nice high school, by the way. But Friday night, yeah, this team's 3-3. It's their senior night. They're going against Winchester, rivalry game, town over. This is big win for, this could be a big win for them, playoff implications, the whole 9 yards. So get there. Be there, be loud. Beyond will be there. We're super excited. And yeah, we're hoping to continue. We won't jinx it, but we have an incredible streak going right now of teams that we've been covering in our record thus far. So I'll keep that quiet. We'll talk about that at the 50, maybe at the end of the game, if everything goes the way we want it to go. So thank you guys. We really appreciate you guys having us come to the game and be there. I've done 3 Arlington games. I've done softball, basketball, and football. And football is just different. It's just different. So it's super exciting to be a part of it. And obviously being able to cover you guys is extra. So we're excited.
Yeah, definitely appreciate all the love, and you have us on here, and the exposure that we get with this podcast, and what you're doing for high school sports. It's great, man. So definitely appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So guys, again, we have a huge week coming up. We're going to be at Arlington High Friday night. We're going to be at Medford Soccer Saturday. We're going to be at Medford Volleyball Tuesday, and then we're going to be at Arlington Catholic Football. We got Kip Academy still coming up, Shawshene Tech. We got a lot of schools we're still covering. We're super excited. But this Friday, Arlington High School, Beyond will be there. We're excited. Get the dub. We'll have fun afterwards and talk about it. All right, guys, from Beyond Podcast, I'm your host, Anthony Petrolis. Until next time.